Salmaan, obviously, they're not necessarily expecting not great conditions in terms of the weather. So that probably the Dragons one could argue that they would be more comfortable with conditions like that.
Yeah.
I mean, do you think it's potentially a banana peel this game? One should be very careful.
Look, I think you're spot on. They're obviously very used to the type of conditions that we're expecting for this weekend. And just around their style of play and the brand of rugby that they play and what they're trying to do in each game and get teams to fall into traps. I think it will be a massive challenge. We know that it's going to be a different challenge. It's something that we're really excited about. They've got a very physical back and forwards. One of the better loose trios around. Great kicking game. So we're really gonna need to be up for it. Not just up for it. We understand what we want from the season and the permutations that lies ahead. So we're fully up for this one.
And Dobber, is Marty still injured?
Yeah, he's trained this week, and I hope he'll be available for next week. He wasn't cleared yet for this week.
Cool.
But we're really excited to have him back next week.
Cool. Guys, if there are questions on Zoom, please raise your hands or put up your hands. Leighton, go for it.
Thanks, Mikey. Dobber, Moon. Hope you guys are well and that you've got your swimsuits and flip flops ready for flippers for Saturday. Just on the team selection, Dobber, you put Gaza next to Wandi. Like putting Dan and Salmaan, who's been playing there on the bench. Just what was your thought process behind that switch in the midfield?
Couple of things. One of which was we're going, God willing, we'll go into the playoffs, and we need to have 28, 29 players ready. We didn't want to disrespect the Dragons by sort of choosing extra guys now, but we can't have, let's take for example a 1D. Let's say we need to push on his button in the quarterfinal. He won't have played for 6 or 7 weeks. Likewise, Joseph Weber. I'm not saying he's not the number one. I'm just saying that we had to, over these 2 games, make sure we have a 28-player playing base because we don't know what the injuries we have. God willing, none sustained this week or next week. So the logic is Wandi did really well for us. I think he got better and better in that spell he had. He's a guy that we might turn on, if you go up to Loftus or something in a playoff. And that field, Wandi will be exceptional where he has been. And so I would be keen. I just want to have him ready. So that's the other element. The second element is that Dan's played a lot. Felt a hamstring in the game against Benetton. He's fit, but we also want Dan. With his body of work, we need him absolutely fit come playoff time. And also, I don't want him, not to play the Cardiff game and then go by, and then he'll be on 3 weeks. So it's just about a management of. Just make sure we got 28 people. And you might see a guy like Steve Satoli coming in next week as part of it. We'll trip it over 2 games. There aren't many changes. Not like we've chosen a second team or rested fortunate players. But, Ben Loader, brilliant the last few weeks. Could knock on his door in a playoff. But I don't want him to be on 5 weeks without a game. So those are sort of more the rationale for the changes. But not one of these guys weakens the team. I think you'd agree on that, It's largely the same team, same back 5 of the pack. Same halfbacks. It's a very similar team.
And then just up front as well, and you mentioned about Josie coming back, but starting Vernon, is that also just trying to harden him up in terms of playing, and then also because you'd like Ali to be your insurance policy on the bench?
Yeah, so Ali would be doing that. I mean, Ali's probably our number 1 loose at the moment, but I can tell you Vernon Tonga's coming fast, coming hard. I wouldn't say we've got lucky because I think it's a bit more gone into it than lucky, but probably pleasantly surprised with his progress and really excited about this guy's future. I think that's going to be a big player in South African rugby. So I think the chance of him getting a start while we can, really, really good. And he's played himself into the team. That's the truth.
And then, Dobbo, it could be also quite an emotion-filled game. You guys are greeting Brocky. They've known Brocky for years on that side. And Damian's playing his 100th. Just what has the break meant to the guys, and then also what's been the talk with them ahead of this game that could be an emotion-filled game.
Yeah, Brock is definitely an emotion-filled one. I'm pleased in a funny way. It's nice, if you're worried about emotion affecting a team that he's not playing, if you know what I mean, that we can give him. I think it would be very tricky if he was playing, but he would have been, and we would have to deal with that. But just very serendipitous that it's the Dragons are here. I think we've all spoken, Moon has, I have, at functions or in a week, about what Brock on the social media videos, what Brock has meant to the team. There's definitely going to be emotion around it, but I say it's probably lucky that it's not actually on the field, if you know what I mean. We'll do it before. And as I said after that game against Benetton, when he hurt himself, that Brocky not playing tomorrow or not playing next week against Cardiff or not playing another home game is really a small drop in the ocean of the work that he's done for us and the respect we hold him. So this is it's frustrating that it's like this, but there will be emotion, but I also suspect it's going to be really a positive emotion because Brocky sets a standard as a human being, a player, a professional. And I think the team's mindset will be live up to Brocky, not like play for Brocky, or Brocky's not lying in a hospital bed that we go. It's really about trying to live up to what Brocky would have done out there. And that's what part of the mission is, the message has been this week, to produce excellent standards despite the changing conditions, the change in opposition, as opposed to the fact that we probably will make the playoffs and that sort of stuff. The guy I'd like to talk, sorry to give you a long answer, is Damian Willemse, because I think there's obviously a lot of interest in some player. We don't know we know what we've got in Damian Willemse. I'm not sure the world does. I think this is a generational player. I think I've worked with him I don't know since 2017. Other than the flash and that, the most professional guy, the guy doing the most time on huddle, competitive. He flies at his own expense. When we took a weekend team to Harlequins for a European Champions Cup game, in your comeback game, wasn't it? He flew himself out there. He did all the analysis of Harlequins' defence. I think he's a guy who walks into any rugby team in the world. I think because he's been with us a while, by so by the age of 20, it was 25 when because he turned 26, 27, so 25, 2 World Cups. It's just, I know we caught up with some of our other X Factor players now with good reason. But this is, he's just a treasure under our thing. I can't speak highly of it. He walks into any other team. Just the professionalism, the standard, the competitiveness, the quality of human being. It's a very special thing to be 100 caps, but 27 in 2 days. It's just, as I say, I think we must realise what we've got in Damian Willemse as a world-class rugby player and human being.
And yeah, I was gonna ask you on that. I mean, you back in 2020, 21, when things weren't going good, you could say to the pack of forwards, listen, Kitsy, Frans staying on, but then you can go to the backline guys. We've got Gaza here. He could have gone. He could have left. And you guys actually fought to keep him there also. Just was he that backline guy that you could build the sort of backline stay guys around?
100%. I mean, we know about the Kitsy Scara France conversation when the other guys were leaving, and I don't think one of those guys I blame for leaving, given what was going on here. That's whether that's Sia or Peter Steff or Bongi, but what Damian, he made a massive statement. He was offered a lot of money elsewhere, and he decided to stay loyal to the fact that he grew up in a backyard in Strand, playing, garden rugby in the blue and white, played for the under 13s, Grand Como. The blue and white jersey just means a lot to him. And once we kept, as you say, France and Akita, and Gaza, a couple of other guys, obviously the guy on my left, I thought, no, it was true.
Those are different caliber players.
No, he's been modest, but we could build a team around guys who understood what this region meant and what it means. And Damian was absolutely critical. I think we'd lost Damian Willemse. Given his background, I think we would have struggled. And I know he was under a lot of pressure to go elsewhere, and he stood up to it. And that's also, I mean, that story is so powerful to me that there were people he felt that, I'll leave it at that. But he was under a lot of pressure to go somewhere else, and he stood loyal to us. And it's important.
Thanks, Dobber. Moon, maybe you can also add to that. Gaza mentioned in the week that it's more than just for you guys that you guys stayed and that you are playing with the Stormers. There's a backstory to why you guys stay loyal to the Cape. If you can just add on that and then just as someone close to Gaza, just what he brings to the team on and off the field.
Yeah, I think first of all, he's a very dear friend to me and many of the other players, and a true inspiration to us all. I think I spoke last week to Ruben, and I think it was Ruben, and I mentioned the fact that after the 2019 World Cup, it was him and Herschel on a photo with a Webb Ellis trophy, and something ignited within me, and I thought to myself, like, this guy, I played with this guy for so many years and grew up with him and played age group rugby with him, and he was, I can promise you, he was the reason why I wanted to become a Springbok and work harder. And I don't think he fully understands the influence that he really has on other players around him. And I know he mentioned earlier in the week that it's not just for himself, it's the broader community and the people that's been there before. And he said it so beautifully. And I don't really I won't do it justice what he said, but he's so right. He's really changed the perspective around coloured rugby players, if I can put it that way. Is arguably, he will be one of the greatest coloured rugby players, if not one of the greatest rugby players to have played the game. And for him to touch on the history that our country has is very beautiful, and especially our province. I think he's a remarkable human being.
Thanks, guys. That's all from me.
Thanks, Dietzen. We've got Gavin Rich next. Yes, Gavin.
I
apologize. Dobber, you actually sort of, well, you did. You answered the question. I was going to
Okay, who's next?
No. There was one other thing. I arrived late, so this has been addressed already. I mean, I know you haven't made a lot of changes, but what I just wanted to ask you was how much the fact that you have a short turnaround, next Friday's game, it's a six-day turnaround, may have influenced your selection, maybe made it easier in a way. And then ancillary to that, what I really want to know is JD's okay. He's not. I mean, I know he's not in the match day squad. He's not injured, is he?
No, he's a bit, just that shoulder's a bit sore. He'll be absolutely fine for Cardiff. Gav, it's so like I said, I didn't want to go. I really wanted. We were, the Connacht and Benetton were under pressure. We kept a very similar side. We do have to be responsible, especially given the breaks, that we've got 28 or 20. There's an extra wing, there's an extra lock, there's an extra hooker, there's an extra prop. That has to be the case for going into the playoffs because of these bye weeks and the European stuff.
Yeah.
That we can't get caught short. So, and I didn't want to sort of do. Let's call those guys number threes for now. I don't want to do them all. I think it's the wrong message. Our challenge to our team this week is to keep the standards of Benetton. That's what Moon and I have been driving the whole week. If you make 7 changes, then you're saying, okay, that we're not taking the Dragons. Then we going completely counter to what we've been messaging our team the whole week about how we want to play and the standards we set for Benetton. And then and then next week, probably so we just divided over the 2 weeks to get to that 28, and that could involve freshness. So, for example, JD could come in for one of the locks, just that we've got JD ready, and it allows us. Let's say somebody saw a touch wood, that Ruben does, or Moon does a stinger. this week, then we've got a bit of capacity next week to get. A sting is not bad, me. So that's it's just making 2 or 3 tweaks to give us capacity to going a touch. We're not in the playoff yet, but hopefully getting into the playoff. That was the thinking.
Okay, cool. Thanks. Okay, good. That explains it. And so it's the same. So this is when I asked about JD and Leland and those guys. Are they're the same?
Yeah. So Ben is probably Ben's played really well. Zassi was back after what was a tough night for him in Belfast. So he was really back last week. But again, we want another wing. We want another one. We've still got Salmaan. I think Salmaan unlucky to be on the bench 2 weeks in a row. You could probably work out he won't be next week, But it's just to have that pool. It's just to have I'd say a 28, 29 man pool going into playoffs is really, really important for me.
Okay, I understand that. Thanks a lot.
Okay, no problem.
Good luck.
Cool. Last question from Zoom from Angus. Is Angus?
Thanks, Mikey. Afternoon, Dobbo. Dobbo, just you mentioned before the game against Connacht that we might see a backline with the Herschel Yankees, Marty in the box, Sasha, Warwick, and all those guys. And I think there was a lot of expectancy on you guys maybe feel that sort of backline this weekend, but Marty's missing out again. Any word on why that is? And what do you expect?
When I made that quote, I specifically said Cardiff because of Marty not being fit. Yeah, so watch the space next week, and I'll make that team. We'll make that announcement. I haven't told Mike it. We'll make it nice and early. So
Awesome.
Listen, it can change. Obviously by injury, but that was our plan, was to put together a back line that the people of Cape Town would love to come. It's no disrespect to Cardiff, I think it'd be highly effective, but the reason I couldn't do it literally was Marnie wasn't 100% cleared yet, And so that's the reason. But we look at it, I don't think I know Marnie's not fit, but I don't think if you go Sasha, Damian Willemse, Wandisile Similani, Ben Loader, Sibela Sonatlan, Warwick Gelant, it's that's not going to be dishwater. That's jet fuel as well. But next week was the plan. Yeah, sorry, I'm Marnie not fit.
Definitely. And just a word on your debutant on the bench, junior ball captain Zach Horton. A big opportunity for the youngster, barring to injury with Francois Ladder and all the other guys.
Yeah, it's a great opportunity for Zach. Obviously, that's the cliche I'm going to give to you. I think Zach's a work in progress. His general game is absolutely phenomenal. I think he's going to be a special player. He's a leader, everything. Just obviously not tested at URC at scrum level. So, we probably the ideal path would have been into the Currie Cup, like he did a bit last year, and getting more confident there. But great opportunity. Just tight head. We've had the Neertling, obviously the Neertling inexplicable suspension. Obviously France, Corné Velbach was out, so that's taken a bit out of it. I'll tell you where I did actually say this in the function a week, that if you took out, we are really excited about this team and this project, and we won't get a home playoff, but how much has gone wrong? Like I said, there are 9 Springboks one stage. We had 8 and 7 were injured, or it's 9 and 8 were injured. I can't remember. But if you said take out this pack at the start, take out for this week, Brock Harris, Stephen Kutzel, Frans Maherba, Netlin Forshire, Dion Fourie, BJ Dixon, JD Shikele, and still put a pack and it's a similar pack. It's a pack that put what is a really good Benetton pack to the sword at the end of that last game, and a pack that we've got entire confidence in this week. It just feels like, while we have some short-term pain, while we might be off the pace a little bit in terms of spend of other teams, that we've got something special brewing here in terms of the future and these players and our depth. So the Vernon Matongos, the Sazi Sundays, the Lonels, the Paul de Villiers, all super, super exciting for us.
Cool. You mentioned this now, Bobby, but chalk and cheese. But if you look back throughout the season, that the game against the Bulls at Loftus, I know you lost against Ulster away from home, but you still feel, especially after the match against Benetton, you might be hitting the peak at the right time, like you did in the first URC when, after the loss against Connacht, where you went all the way to win the trophy.
So the loss against Connacht?
Last year against Connacht.
Yes.
Yeah. and then
Yeah.
you went all the way to the trophy. Like, do you inform after that?
Yeah, look, a lot of people let me go the last 2 weeks because of the bye last week. People say, oh, the Stormers are great and we're going from a. Didn't feel that good after Connacht, I must say. We felt like it was a bit, as I say, being in the dentist chair. I think the way we attacked, great. But I think, I do feel that there's real, and I think Salmaan's pretty close to it and partly responsible for it. The maturity of us wanting to get consistency in performance, so that Benetton wasn't just an emotional reaction, it was really clinical and clever. The way Warwick and Sasha and Damian trapped them down, they stuck to a plan. So I feel there's a real understanding of how we want to play. There are tweaks we have to make for every opposition and some growth points we need to if we win the championship. But as I say, the confidence that I think we're clear what we need to do, and I think the fact that we're not, which may not have been the case earlier in the year when I would list an injury list like that where we thought a bit confused and we're short of personnel. I feel despite that we're really confident where we're going. I think we're getting that confidence, maturity, almost a flow state at exactly the right time.
Cool, Angus, you done?
Thank you, guys.
Nice one. Stephen, you got another question for Salmaan?
Yeah, just for Salmaan.
Aren't we all?
Salmaan, one guy we talked about the young guys coming in and so on, and obviously Dion is a big blow, but it really looks like Paul de Villiers has grabbed this opportunity. But also now as a leader, what do you see in Paul in terms of what he's doing on the field and also his general sort of contribution?
First of all, I think he's an exceptional player and an exceptional leader. I think he's really so mature for his age. I think, to be honest, I've asked his opinion on many things before, whether it's on the field or off the field, and he's got a proper head on his shoulders and an exciting future. So Dalbo has another choice of captain there. But I'm so excited for him really, and he's taken his opportunity with both hands. He's played well in both games that he's played so far consecutively, and I think it's going to be remarkable. Yeah.